Ayubo on everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Northern Wall, your weekly talk show with me, Kayla, your host. In case you didn't know, it is a very special episode because, like some of the comrades said in the comments, it is the last episode of the year 2020. Now, the year 2020, we already know what kind of year it was. We don't need to talk about how terrible it was anymore. I kind of want to talk about the great things that happened on it and then things that we're looking forward to in 2021. So, what are actually some great things? There's not a lot. Hello, all humans. There's not a lot, but there were enough, I think, considering. One was because we were forced into quarantine, Core got to do something that we would never have been able to do otherwise, which was Summerfest. Summerfest was one of the best memories that came out of 2020. Oh, what? I already forgot what year it was. It was one of the best memories that came out of 2020 was Summerfest. It felt like a real con when we were like going through each of the days. I remember because Soulmate had quarantine before that, and then she stayed with us for I think that week and then the following week for Summerfest. So it was fun because it was all of the Noble House boys, and then Soulmate was there, and then Jason was able to come over. So it kind of felt like a real con. And we would wake up each day and we had panels to go to and things to discuss, and we had videos to premiere, and then we got to get closer to our comrades more this year, especially the ones we don't get to see in person, than we have ever had before. So that was something really, really grateful. That wasn't a sentence. Let me redo that sentence. That was something to be really, really grateful for. I was missing so many words. It was bad, not even grammar, like that was bad syntax at that point. But definitely Summerfest was awesome sauce. What else great happened? What did I watch? There's something great that I watched. I don't remember. Does it all remember? Oh, no. What? Oh, one of the best things that I had for myself was watching Onward with Noble House. It was one of the first movies we watched together in Noble House, and we like made dinner, and then I made dessert pancakes, and we sat in our living room and we watched Onward, and we were screaming. Yes, I did, babe. We were screaming like we were watching like a soccer game. It was so much fun. And then I remember watching. I say that too much. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop saying that. I remember. Yes, I remember. Sitting and watching Bly Manor with Rostin and Joseph. I know one of our comrades, was it Katie? Katie who was asking about it. Was it Kat or Katie? I think it was Katie. Who's asking about Bly Manor and Haunted Hill of... The Haunting of Hill House. Hill on the Haunted House. Hill. With a house that's haunted. Asking about that. And so the sequel anthology to the series, another messed up sentence, was The Haunting of Bly Manor. And I did have some reaction videos of me, Rostin, and Joseph. Mainly me and Rostin. Nope. Mainly me and Joseph. Watching that together. So that might show up later on. That was really fun. And then doing all of the online classes with Core and a lot of the online games we got to play, which we don't get to do a lot of team building stuff when we're in the throes of convention, but it was fun when we did it this year. We got to play a lot of fun games. We had one game night. If you're a patron, you've been able to see this or you have access to it. We played a trivia night where they all had their kages. They were selected at random. There were 4 teams, and they had kages in charge. They were the team captains. And it was a nerdy anime comic books trivia contest, kind of like Jeopardy. And I made it, and some of them were just, I was mean. I was putting questions that no one would know. And then like almost 2 general ones. But we played a whole trivia night, and it was really intense. And it was great because all of the teams, they dressed up according to their team. I remember, sorry, I said it again. There you go, see? And what was it? The Konoha team. They were the village hidden in the leaves. And so who had the plant? Someone had a potted plant. I think they all had a potted plant that they hid behind, which was great. It was really good. I think they're the ones who won. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then we also played other games online, which was something we wouldn't have done. What I've also been doing this year is because we haven't been creating a lot of content, I have been watching past content that core. What is it? How well do you know Kayla Jeopardy? Super sorry. I was watching old content that we've done, and I've been watching old sets. So you can join me in doing that. I mean, we're not going to do it here, but go back to our channel and watch some old sets. I was pulling out some things from the archive for our that one time I was reincarnated as a throwback series. We started that this year, where we brought old videos from way, way back when we were still called the Survey Corps. And those have been like a trip down memory lane. But also, the other night, I watched Funk Set. Funk Set was probably one of my favorite sets because it was just us doing all of our dance styles and but still being in the community and just kind of having fun with all of the diversity of dance on the team. I also watched back Sucker Punch Set, and that's not one that I usually watch. It's not like one of the go-tos, but I watched that. That was pretty good. It's a lot better than I remember it. Sometimes I watch stuff like right after we perform it, and I'm like, oh gosh, I made that mistake. We could have done this formation better. Why did I choreograph that? Why did I block that section like that? That could have been done better. Oh, I should have styled that. I should have put this person in the center because they're supposed to be the main person you're watching, and yeah, I put them in a weird, like try to highlight them on the side and it didn't really work out. Or I'm like, oh, that person did their solo, but I put them in a not great place to do their solo, and that's my bad. So a lot of times when I watch things after we perform it, I always go, oh, I don't like it. And then it has to be like time later. Then I watch it. And it's usually, I'm not as critical. This one, Sucker Punch Princesses, I really love the Sucker Punch movie. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I mean, if you like beautiful girls that do cool fighting, like, why not watch it? It's such a good movie. And we paired that with our favorite POC or independent princesses from Disney. And so that was really fun to do. Lee Shu, did you watch the AOT final season? Here's the thing. I have not caught up on the AOT anime because I know the final season was this year too. I've caught up with the manga. And if you saw what our alumni Facebook group looks like, I post in our alumni core group every time I read a new chapter of Attack on Titan because I think it's me. It used to be me and Toby that caught up with Attack on Titan, but now it's just me because Toby's saving the world and everyone who has COVID. Wear a mask, stay home, wash your hands, save our God. But I have been posting in there every time I read the newest chapter, and the last 19 chapters have been super intense. And they come out once a month, so that's the last 19 months. So that's like a year and a half. And I know where we are right now. So I don't know what the final season did with all the information that they were privy to. But let me tell you, if you have not caught up with AOT, at least the manga, you should. It will hurt. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It will hurt a lot. What else happened in 2020? Mulan came out, and everyone just either said, it's funny because so many things came out because we're just at home watching things. And what was it? At the beginning of the summer, Avatar: The Last Airbender came out, and then Legend of Korra came out, and now Soul came out, and Wonder Woman 84 came out, and there's so many cool things that, you know, encompass in our nerdy realm. And there's so many people that go, oh, that was bad, I didn't like that, and then they don't really tell you why it was bad or what they didn't like. They don't, or if they do, it's so one note. So a lot of times I'm like, just watch things for yourself instead of for what people are saying, because they don't really say anything. But other than that, tangent. 2020 was a hard year. We know it was a hard year. But because we were in quarantine, because we were at home by ourselves, or we should have been, well, not, I mean, depending on if you're quarantining with other people, a lot of people were not lucky and were vastly separated from significant others, from friends, from family, from very close family. And everyone went through their hardships. Everything was hard. Things like finances were hard. Your health was hard. Living day to day, trying to navigate a world that literally looked like the world post snap, as Shell put it. And then the world opening again when we shouldn't have opened, and now everything's just kind of screwy. My avocado is to the side. And so 2020 wasn't the best year, because we always start each year thinking this is going to be the best year ever. I'm going to make this the best year ever. And that oftentimes kind of bites us in the butt, especially when something as magnanimous as a global pandemic comes rearing its ugly head out of the ether. And New Year's resolutions kind of go down the drain. Those are hard. But we try our best. We try our best to make the year the best we can make it. We were isolated, and so we were stuck with ourselves. And a lot of times, even for introverts, if it's too long, which this quarantine has been very long, it starts to eat away at you. You start to get nervous and you start to doubt yourself for reasons you can't even explain. You start to think, well, I'm not doing enough, because then you go on social media, because what else can you do but go on social media during a global pandemic and during a quarantine? And then you see people creating stuff, or you see people doing stuff, or looking a certain way, or skill building, or being able to do things that you can't do, or have things that you can't have. And then we start to compare, and then suddenly we are not happy. And we are more so unhappy because we can't even get away from it. We try to not be on social media. We try not to be in the digital realm. But when you're at home, there's only so much time you can stay away from that before you need some sort of mental stimulation. You can't go out with friends. You can't see friends. You can't even touch your friends. You can't celebrate birthdays. You can't celebrate weddings or anniversaries. You can't mourn the dead. You can't have funerals. You can't go into the hospital to watch your significant other give birth. You can't go out in the world and see a movie with friends. And it was a very hard year because we were so separated and we were stuck with ourselves. But in that, a lot of people found a lot of time for themselves that they didn't originally have. Some people, I know at the beginning, some people in the middle, some people now, were able to find time and be like, well, I can't go out anyways, so let me just do all the things that I never got to do before. And we got to read books that we didn't have time for in the beginning. We got to learn how to do new skills and crafts that we didn't have time for. We got to catch up and binge watch on shows. We got to watch movies. We got to message people. We got to learn things because everything suddenly went digital. So if you wanted to learn how to dance, or you wanted to watch reviews or the gameplay of D&D, you could all of a sudden. And so 2020 kind of unintentionally became the year of ourselves. It was your year. So for 2021, we can kind of flip it around. We can make 2021 the year of everyone else, the year of us as a collective, of your friends, your family, your loved ones, the people you support, the people you care about. We can make it about them. So if you spend a lot of time wondering about yourself, take all those questions and all those doubts and stuff and flip it around and now put it on someone else. If you go, I can't do this, flip it around to someone who can and be like, how do you do this? And then listen to them, listen to what they have to say. And then now you've just learned from them. Or if you think I'm not good enough, go find someone that you idolize and go, how are you so great? Or if you took time, you're like, I just need to get away from everything. Go find someone and be like, hey, how have you been doing? What have you been doing? I know I can't do it with you in person, but hey, can we do it together digitally? Let's do it online. Let's work out together online. Let's learn a dance together online. Let's try painting together online. Let's learn a new instrument. Let's learn a new language. Let's watch an anime together. Let's talk about anime together. Let's learn how to play D&D. I think what happened was this year also kind of showed that when we always think about me, when a time like a pandemic happens, we see the repercussions of the me culture. It turns into people not caring. It turns into the difficulties of social distancing, the difficulties of trying to flatten the curve, the difficulties of trying to see eye to eye. And that me culture isolates us. But we're not isolated creatures. Introverts are not isolated creatures. No, even if you're not a people person, you're not an isolated creature. You still live in a community. You still live with other people. Like people, you're not being raised by wolves. If you're on here on this live, clearly you have internet, you're not raised by wolves. We live in a community. And so we need to live with a community mindset. So there's some New Year's resolutions that I've always had an issue with every single year. And it's like, it's the time, it's that time of year when all those New Year's resolutions comes out. And this is all me personally. I personally have an issue with some of them. Here's my favorite ones. And I say that sarcastically. New year, new me. Two things with that. One, new year, new me. Leisha, don't be sad you're an introvert. Introvert is not a bad thing. Extrovert is not a bad thing. There's no such thing. Like, they're not insults. They're just personality identifiers. Anyways, two things with new year, new me. One, you're probably great. Lauren posted, was it Lauren who posted this? Lauren or Sammy or someone posted it. And they said, I'm sorry, I said, it said, you probably are loved. And people are so quick to say, I don't have any friends. No one loves me. No one pays attention to me. Okay, chill. First of all, that's probably not true. And second of all, if it is true, then I'm going to say this. You might have to look a little internally instead of externally for that problem, because people like to make friends with nice people, friendly people, good people. If people don't want to be friends with you, maybe you're not a nice person. You have to think that. You have to consider that maybe if it's true, which it probably isn't, but if it's true that you have no friends, you're probably not trying to make friends. And people who try to make friends, like, here's like, I don't even try to make friends, but I'm not mean when I first meet someone. I'm either shy and I kind of just don't say anything, or I'll just be like, hey, like, we're humans. And then you get along with people, and then that's what nice people do, is they get along. So, tangent, if you continuously, also people, a lot of times, I see this on TikTok all the time, people are like, I have no friends, and then they like are chatting, they have chats with friends. If you say you have no friends and you actually have friends, your friends, that's mean to your friends. If I was your friend, I would be like, fine, if you don't have any friends, I don't know what I am, chopped liver, we're not gonna be friends anymore. Don't say you don't have friends if you have at least a friend. If you have a friend, you better be grateful that you have a friend, because that person's probably awesome. Anyways, new year, new me. One, you're probably great. You're doing just fine. You're probably doing fantastic. Are there things to evolve like a Pokemon? Sure. If you want to go from Pikachu to Raichu, by all means. This is the year of evolution. But you don't have to completely scratch the plate and, start from the bottom up already. You're great. You are you, and no one else is you but you. So don't just get rid of you. Keep you. And then just if you want to not change anything, but if you want to evolve your skills, you want to learn new skills, you want to change your hair, you want to change your wardrobe. I mean, all of that stuff, that's great. All of that is great. So that's my other two. Some people every year go, these are all harsh truths, so take the harsh truth. Or don't. Like, you can turn me off and you don't have to take the harsh truth. 2, new year, new me. Boo-boo. You said that last year, and the you that came out wasn't great. The you that came out was selfish, but you pretended that it was your self-care culture. Or the you that that came out was like, I'm just going to focus on me, and you literally couldn't have given two shizmaniz about anyone else. Or the you that came out is kind of like, I'm going to speak my mind, but there's a difference between speaking your mind and being rude. And the you that came out was rude. So maybe not new year, new me. Maybe fix the you this year. Both times, don't change. Just like fix, just, everyone just says new year, new me. And I'm like, every year, 365 days was all you needed to wear that suit, and then you're just going to toss it? Like, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Change it up. The other one that I absolutely deplore. This year is all about me, as opposed to what? Every year is always about you. We are a culture that's all about the me. We are a me culture. Who is legitimately not, other than the, those saints that are out there that are awesome. There are some good people. I know some great people who quite literally just, Toby, I can't sing Toby's praises enough. He's one of the people that I love because we live in a culture where everyone says, I don't care. And he has always said the opposite. He always says, I care about everything. I care about anything. I care about people. I care about situations. I care about that cat. I care about that movie. I care about that book. I care about this food. Toby cares about everything. And it makes him literally one of the most genuinely good people out there. And I thought that a little bit before I heard him say that, but it just got amplified when I heard him say he cares about everything and everyone. And he really does focus a lot of his time caring for a lot of people. This is literally his job. He's a doctor. So he cares about other people, and it's amazing because then it's not hard to find people who care about Toby, because what he gives out in the world comes back to him. That is true. You have to know what you put out in the world will come back to you. If you care for your friends will care about you. If nothing's coming back to you, then you got to reevaluate. I know some comrades said some friends are fake. Why are you friends with fake people? Don't be friends with fake people. It's as easy as that. Just if there's someone that's in your life that you don't like, or someone that in 2020 you realize you don't have anything in common with, just don't contribute to your own misery. If they're not making you happy, then don't be friends with them. Don't be around them. Be around good people. Be like this guy. He was so miserable and so sad. And then someone like Deku comes along, and Deku made him happy. So it was like, oh. And then he met Ida, and Ida understood him. He was like, oh. And then he realized the rest of his class was not that bad. And he was like, oh. And then he learned, and he was around people that he liked being around. Like, he didn't choose to be around his dad. Like, he had the option to not be around his dad. So he left from his dad. In this analogy, his dad represents poopy friends. But that's part of it. We are in charge of that. Also, what I hear in New Year's resolutions is everyone's, doing the self-care. Self-care is now a culture. You need to, I've said this before in past talk shows, but you have to understand that self-care is caring about yourself. It does not mean poo on everyone, it's all about me, luxury. Treat yourself is a different thing. You can have those days. But self-care is about caring for yourself. It's about learning how to be responsible and disciplined for the betterment of the you. Now, where it is the year of all of us, you can only take care of the us if you are in the state to take care of the us. If you're falling apart at the seams and you're like, I'm taking care of everyone, that's not going to do anyone any good. And I'm going to tell you this is another harsh truth. If you're falling apart at the seams, I'm so sorry. So many people have so many things going on with their life. They're not going to care. Listen. And this is what I mean by they're not going to care. They cannot, if you're falling apart at the seams every single day, they cannot drop everything and care for you all the time. Now, what caring about community, what loving everyone means is making sure that you are in a place where you can contribute to society. I can be there for friends because I situate myself in a way that I can do that. That includes everything. If you come from home and hearth that is not ready to be kind of left to its own devices so you can do other things, then you need to go back and take care of your nest first. Not going to work, not working hard, not finding a good job, not finding any job, not doing anything to better your financial stability or even like your economic stability is not good self-care. Calling out from work when you're tired is not good self-care. What you do if you are too tired to go to work is you sleep earlier. You drink some water. You eat good food when you're supposed to eat it. And you go to sleep. And you sleep, and then you wake up, you won't be tired anymore. That's self-care. Not, you know what, it's been so many days that I've been working and I just can't anymore and I'm burning the candle at two ends, so I'm just going to call out. No, because if self-care cannot be something you have to pay for later on. If you don't do the things you're supposed to do now because you shirked your responsibilities in order to just indulge in laziness, that's a lazy day. That's a day off. We all need days off. We all need lazy days. But that's not a self-care day because later on, when you come back from your lazy day, you're going to have to pick up the pieces of everything you left behind. Self-care is washing your underwear and not waiting until you're done and you have an empty drawer and you're just like, I have no underwear. Self-care is doing your laundry. Self-care is eating food. Like when you're hungry. Self-care is playing a video game when you need to relax, but then knowing that if you're just going to sit there and play video games and then regret it later on because you didn't do all the things you're supposed to do, because you felt like you didn't move all day, because you felt like you wasted the day, that's not self-care. That is not self-care. Self-care is about taking care of yourself. And you have to really reflect back on this year. Reflect back and think. Were there times where I was just a mess? When I was just a mess. And then the people around me who tried were just like I was making them try too hard. You gotta think about that. And then on the flip side, go back on this year and think, who was I there for when they needed me most? Who did I check up on? Who did I talk to? Who did I connect with? Who did I vent to and who vented to me? Who did I even think about in a day? I used to do a challenge on Facebook that no one did because they would, I would think just because they're like, oh, it's not something that's very flattering to themselves, because we all know we only do challenges on social media that makes us look good. But I did a challenge on Facebook a couple of times where I said, if you've taken, or for every selfie you've taken in the past week, you have to turn the camera around and take a picture of something beautiful on the other side of the lens. So turn the camera away from your face and look at the world. Look at something beyond yourself. And it's because a lot of times I was like, selfies are fine, but a lot of times people would like do a caption. They're like, I love this movie, and then take a picture of their face. And I'm like, is the movie of your face? I'm so confused. Do you have a face movie? That's awesome. How do I get a face movie? Or they'll be like, oh my gosh, my friends got me this. And then it's a picture of their face. They got you a new face? Wow. Your friends have mad money. I used to do that challenge and people didn't do it. I also used to say, if you wrote a Facebook status in the last month, I would even extend it to 3 months. And I say in the last 3 months, if you made at least one or more Facebook statuses that say, today was the worst day ever, or something to that effect, then you have to know if there's more than one, then it wasn't the worst day ever. because there was another day that was the worst day ever. And then go back to that day and think about what happened that day. If that day was the worst day ever because you woke up and you went to work, that's not the worst day ever. That is just a day. It's just a day. If the worst day ever is, it was just a series of not great things. Today, the fire alarm was going off because they were checking it, so it's loud, it like shakes your eardrums. And I wasn't prepared when they had to come in to check the fire alarms. So like I answered the door and I look hit, and then I had to go trade my car. I had to go get the truck for my sister up in LA. So I had to leave, but all of the elevators were out. So I had to take the stairs, but I locked myself out of one of the stairs. And then I went down, I had to go gas up the car, but all the gas pumps were full. And then I realized I didn't have my phone. So I had to drive back, and then I couldn't get back on the stairwell. So I went up, and then I went through the lobby where a guy was mopping, and I slipped. I didn't fall, but I did slip, and I didn't feel very good on my ankle. I slipped on his mopping, and then when I went to the door to open it, because the doors were closed to the elevator, I went to go open it for someone who was in there, and he opened it as I was there, so it like hit me in the shoulder. And then I finally got upstairs, and I got to get my phone, and went down, and it was just a series of bad events. And people got, like, those things happen. There are days where, like, just this, it's just one thing after another, and you just feel really irritated. I remember feeling irritated. And I had to call my sister on the whole drive up just so she could like talk to me and I could vent any frustrations I was having out to her. And by the end, I was laughing. But some people have those days and they're like, that's the worst day ever. I'm like, no, it's not. And if anything, this past year of 2020 taught us what the worst day ever could actually look like. Because more so than ever, we were witnesses to the lives of so many other people. For those who don't know, he was a former Broadway star, Nick Cordero. Former Broadway star. He was in Rock of Ages in LA with my sister. He was one of the first people, I remember back in March, who was infected with COVID. And he spent almost 60 days. Was it 60 or 80? 60 days in the ICU unit. And his story was plastered all over the news outlets because he was so well known. All of Broadway and all of Rock of Ages were playing music. He had a son, a brand new newborn baby boy named Elvis, and then his wife. And my sister and the rest of the cast of Rock of Ages would hold vigils every night of his favorite Elvis songs, praying for him to come out of it. He fought for so long to fight against all the complications that were happening. He was intubated. They had to amputate one of his legs because an infection settled in there, or infection or something, a complication happened with his respiratory that took out the blood in that leg. And so as a performer and a dancer, he lost one of his legs, and they're like, he might not come out. Things are starting to shut down. And unfortunately, he ended up passing away. It was so sad. I remember my sister called me and she said, Nick's gone. And all of his friends and his family were devastated. He was like one of the first. And then after that, we watched the horror that was George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And the horror that was Ahmaud Arbery. And then even later on, way later, after summer, Jacob. And the civil rights movement. We saw what was happening, the explosions that happened overseas, the fires in Australia. We watched some terrible things happen because we had no choice but to sit and watch the world quite literally burn. And so we've seen what the worst day ever could be. And so we know that if we're sitting here right now, if you're sitting here right now, we are the lucky ones. We survived 2020. We survived enough that we can sit here and watch a YouTube show. And how grateful are we for that? And so let's take all of the luck that we had in this 2020. It erases, the fact that we're here erases anything else bad that could have happened this year. Because we made it. People we know might not have. People we loved might not have. But we made it and we're here. So in 2021, let's give back. Starting now. Don't even wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for Friday. Starting now. Let's think about giving back. Giving back to everyone else in our lives. Checking up on everyone. Even the people you're not too favorable about. It doesn't matter. They're alive. You got to be grateful they're alive because they could not be. That's the truth. It doesn't matter if they don't share the same interests as you. It doesn't matter if they don't support everything that you love. They're here. If there's your family, your friends, your loved ones, those you care about, anyone in your tight, small circle, anyone in your larger circle, if they're here, ooh, you better love the bejesus out of them in 2021. Love them until they can't take it anymore. Love so absolutely and so prominently that by the end of the day, you are exhausted. Because you're like, oh my gosh, loving is some really good cardio. And then when you've loved all your friends and all your family to the extent where you're passing out, dream about all the ways you could love them more. Talk to them. Help them. Ask them. Everything. And just to know that we are the lucky ones. And you have to know we are the lucky ones. We made it. In 2021, use it as a way to take the step forward after being forced to stay in the same place for months on end. The COVID isn't gone yet. There's this false sense of security out here in the States, at least. And we are in our worst surge. So we're not out of this weird time suspended blob of whatever quarantine is right now. But we've already done almost a full year of it. So we're kind of prepped for 2021. Some people need that beginning of the year to kind of be ready for it. So now let's take what we've learned and let's just force our feet through that thick molasses of time and take a step forward. Learn something new. I challenge all of you. I challenge all of you. And this is what I challenge. At least for January. You don't have to do it for the whole year. At least for January. Put one person in front of you. And don't say me, don't say I, don't say mine. Don't say any pronouns that go with yourself. Put one person you love very dearly and put them in front of yourself. And if you don't have someone you love very dearly, then you should probably learn to love someone dearly. But put someone you love very intensely and put them before yourself. Just for 1 month. I promise you it's probably one of the best feelings in the world. One of the best feelings is taking care and loving someone else, supporting someone else, trying to let someone else know that you really love their dreams and you want to do everything in your power to support their dreams. It is quite honestly one of the most rewarding and addictive things you could ever do. And then I promise you, if you put someone before yourself, you will, no, you know what? I'm not going to take that back. I promise you, you will love that feeling so much and you will want to do it over and over again. And if we all do that, if all 8 billion people in the world do that, taking care of one other person, then all 8 billion people will be fine because they got someone who has their 6. And that's awesome. With all that being said, it's a little early, but that's okay. I'm going to kind of end around here. That was the end of 2020. And tomorrow we have New Year's Eve. Stay safe. Please don't go out. Please don't go out. We don't have to. We don't have to go out. Let's not do 2020 over again. Let's not have a repeat of that year. Let's start 2021 correctly and let's stay in. Let's stay inside and let's celebrate together. If you have great New Year's traditions, throw them down in the comments. I'd love to learn your traditions. My own personal New Year's traditions that I grew up with, my parents, it was always you turn on all the lights in the house to scare away all the dark spirits. We put grapes and eights over the doors for good luck. You bang pots and pans when midnight hits, so then you scare all the bad energy and the bad spirits away. And you go to every corner of the house, literally every corner, all lights on, making noise everywhere, and smiling and joy, because what you're feeling at that first moment is what's going to be your whole year. One thing I learned I got from Soulmate, I don't know if this is a Sri Lankan tradition or not, but there was boiled milk. And so now that's something that I picked up from her. I boil milk on New Year's. You throw money in the air, for good fortune. You share the red envelopes. I know a lot of families do the red, like Chinese families do the red envelopes. There's a lot of Chinese in my family, so we do share red envelopes on New Year's. One thing that was really cool with Rawson, he was like, he always tried to be on the road at midnight because he always thought that if he was driving, it meant that for the year he would continuously be moving forward. He would be pushing himself forward, and I really liked that. So there are some great New Year's traditions that we could do that really just ring in the new year at home safely, that set up the year to be something good and vibrant and alive and joyous and joyful. Make 2021 creative, make it colorful, make it oversaturated with everything ridiculously good. Make 2021 the passionate year. Passionate about everything. If you love something, go overboard with it. If you're angry about something, be angry. Because if you expel it in that moment, you won't hold on to it later and just be, bitter and harvesting this sad, fermented anger. Just blow it out in the beginning and then you'll be good. With your joy, be overjoyed. Be so big and loud with your happiness. One thing that I always loved about Joseph was that he laughs loudly, almost unapologetically. And it's because he doesn't believe in quieting something that he's happy about. It's the same sentiment for my sister. She laughs loudly because she's like, why do I have to be quiet about something I love? And that brings me joy. Do that. Even if someone yells at you to shush. I mean, if it's a super inappropriate, don't be in, the hospital ward, just being like, oh, la, la, la. Don't do that. Or don't go into church, just be like, nah, nah, nah. Don't do that. But even if someone was like, shh, but you're out in public, or you're even out in your own home, it's fine. Just be loud and happy and great. Hopefully, okay. Hopefully we get the vaccine very, very soon in 2021. And just know that, honestly, it's fine. Go get the vaccine. Again, herd immunity and a community is what's going to overcome this pandemic. And listen to the scientists and the doctors, because they're the ones saying to get it. If you have literally no experience with medicine or biochemistry, or someone is saying don't get the vaccine and they have no history or knowledge of medicine and biochemistry, if it's two-step Bob telling you don't get the vaccine, you're like, Bob, you know all of 2 steps. I'm not listening to you. So listen to the doctors, listen to the scientists, and hopefully herd immunity will bring us back to an open world and we can go back to everything. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We have a lot of amazing stuff coming up in the next month. I was talking to my board just last night and we have a lot of awesome things. This Friday, we have a very special version of Work on Your Core. My very own Levi, your beloved Austin, will be teaching. He doesn't teach ever. He never teaches. He's a very... Oh, I just burped. He's a very, very... Are you going to focus, camera? There you go. He is a very, very good dancer, but he's always nervous about teaching. So the fact that you're going to get a master class from him is choice. But we're doing it different this time. If you're a patron on our Patreon, you get access to the Zoom class. So you can come in the Zoom with us. You can dance with all the corpsmen. We get to talk with each other. We love our comrades and we love our patrons. And so you get to interact with them. If you're not a patron, unfortunately, you won't get access to the Zoom code. But you can tune in not only on Instagram Live, but we're going to go live on TikTok to also broadcast his class. So we're doing a lot of different things this time around. It'll be the first time we do that. And so we're really excited. So make sure you're following us on TikTok, The Core Dance Crew, and you're following us on Instagram at The Core Dance Crew. And if you want to interact in the Zoom class, make sure you join us on Patreon. Yes, if you give him compliments, he gets really nervous and like kind of angry because he doesn't really know how to take compliments. So it's kind of really fun because you short circuit his brain and then he does weird things. It's hilarious. Also, this might be later tonight or maybe tomorrow. If you would like to watch me play Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, I'm streaming on my Twitch, Master of Nowhere. Sora was there last time, and I forget who else was in there. Hidalgo was there, and Can was there. We were having such a good time when I was streaming that. I might be streaming later tonight, and then I'll stream again this weekend. But yeah, join me on Twitch. We can just talk about random stuff, and you can see me react very vividly to things when I stream. You can get a glimpse at my amazing boysenberry pie hat. It's my streaming hat. It's pie. Fun fact, I don't eat pie. Anyways, I hope you all had a very, very lovely Christmas. Safe and lovely Christmas. And if you did not, I'm so sorry. But I do hope that 2021 and this new year at least gives you safety and security. Something my dad always said was, if you are well, if you are loved, and if you are, what did he say? Well, loved, and not alone, then you should want of nothing. And I remembered that because he used to tell me that a lot. He'd be like, do you have a pillow beneath your head? And I'd be like, yes. He's like, did you have food in your belly? I'd be like, yeah. He said, do you know me and your mom love you? I said, yeah. He said, well, then you should want of nothing. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't want anything. I want the new episode of Dragon Ball Z to come out, but I don't want of anything. And it's something that I've always, not something. I listen to almost every random parable story lesson that my dad gives, but I've always thought of that one. So I hope that on New Year's Day of 2021, that you are safe, that you are loved, and that you have food in your belly and a pillow under your head. And that's all that we can ask for in 2021. So, goodbye 2020. Wow. Okay, 2021. You saw what that guy did. Like, don't, just be chill. Be cool, be chill. Be cool, be chill. Okay? 2021, be cool, be chill. All right. Hands out. Sodome. Oh, let me get rid of this. Sorry. This is just annoying. Sotomato on 3. Sorry, I'm waiting for all of you to catch up because of this 20-second lag on the stream. Here we go. Sotomato on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sotomato. 2021, offer your heart up to humanity. Y'all have a good night. Peace.